They found the ship at dawn, torn apart, bloodless, and screaming. Salt-crusted wind howled through the narrow lanes of Whitby that morning. It wasn't the kind of storm the fishermen feared. This was quieter, hungrier. A carcass of a ship had drifted into the harbor that morning, its sails shredded, its hull gouged like something had clawed its way out. No crew, no captain. Only a trail of seawater, thickened with something darker, leading up the steps to the abbey. Nobody knew his name, but Whitby had known monsters before. This one felt older. A young woman named Lila Whitcroft watched from the cliffs above, her breath catching as she saw the ship's mast, splintered like a crucifix turned upside down. She didn't know it yet, but her blood had called him here, and far beneath the abbey ruins, something began to stir. Not Dracula, not yet. Something else. The abbey ruins stood like the ribs of a long-dead god, half devoured by ivy, but not forgotten. Whitby had always worn its history like a second skin, layered in salt, shadow, and superstition. But the villagers knew when something had shifted, when the wind whispered wrong. The ship was pulled ashore by noon. Every rope was frayed, every nail rusted, not by time, but something colder. A deep unease seeped into the cobbles. Then they found the journal, waterlogged but intact. Elias Thorne, local historian and self-declared watcher of the abbey, was the first to read it. The last entry ended in a scrawl. He is not man. He walks by night, and he is already ashore. Elias's hands trembled, not from fear but recognition. Decades of folklore, centuries of fables, all suddenly plausible. And across the village, Lila Whitcroft sat at her grandmother's desk flipping through a photo album she'd never dared open before. One image froze her breath. A faded portrait, 1897. Mina Harker, pale as snow, eyes haunted. Beside her, a man with a high collar and a cruel smile. The caption read, "Whitby, Summer's End." Outside, the church bell rang 13 times. The candle flickered, casting long shadows on the wall. Lila dared not move. She felt eyes on her, cold and heavy. She'd come to this abandoned house to pay her respects to her late grandmother, Mina. But now, with the wind howling like a wounded animal and the rain lashing against the windows, she wasn't so sure. In her grandmother's attic, amidst the dusty trunks and cobwebs, Lila found a hidden compartment containing a silver pendant. It was cold to the touch, and strangely, it seemed to pulse with a faint heartbeat. Meanwhile, down by the harbor, Elias Thorne stood on the pier, his heart heavy with dread. He, too, felt the presence of something dark and evil stirring in the fog. As he watched, a ship arrived, its sails tattered and torn. It was the same ship that had brought his father back from the sea, a man who had vanished without a trace 20 years ago. And then, for a moment, as the fog lifted, he saw it. A skeletal hand reached out from the grave, its fingers long and sharp like talons. It was a warning. And for the first time, Elias understood the darkness that had returned to their town was not of this world. By midnight, Whitby had swallowed its last stars. Clouds choked the moon. The tide surged higher than it had in years, crashing against the seawall like fists against a coffin lid. Inside the village pub, the Black Gull, the locals whispered louder than usual. Fishermen spoke of strange sounds from the sea, voices in no human tongue. Nets returned empty. Boats never returned at all. "You see the man on the hill?" old Gibbons asked, his voice a croak. Black coat, pale as frost, been watching the water all day. "Drunk again, Gibbons?" someone muttered. But Lila heard him, and so did Elias. She found him outside moments later, his eyes fixed on the cliffside path. There, between the gravestones and the wild roses, a shape moved, tall and elegant and wrong. No footprints in the mud, no breath in the air. Lila whispered, "He's real." Elias nodded grimly. "He's here." And in the abbey ruins above them, Count Dracula smiled. "The hollow steps have been climbed, and now you've seen what lingers where the light forgets to reach." But this was only the first breath. A whisper from the crypt, a shadow at the edge of memory. Tomorrow the path darkens. The church bells will toll, and something buried for centuries will begin to stir beneath Whitby's broken stones. He is not gone. He has only been waiting. Join us for episode 2 when dusk falls once more. Subscribe, return, and don't look back because the steps are never empty. Now, who is this mysterious character and what are they doing in Whitby? Well, if you're just joining us, then all you need to know is that Whitby is a town in North Yorkshire, and it's famous for its Gothic abbey and its association with Bram Stoker's Dracula. So, without giving too much away, let's just say that this story is inspired by those legends, and if you like stories about vampires, well, then this is the series for you.